This is Teresa with My Crochet Obsession, and today I want to show you one of the many things that you can do with all those crocheted flowers. When your flowers are already made, it's so easy to quickly make this gift bag embellishment that becomes a part of the gift and it can be reused. All of the methods that I will show you today of making gift bag lassos can be adapted to any flower. So grab one of the flowers that you've crocheted with me in the 30 Days of Flowers and let's get started. Let me know if you like the idea of embellishing your gift bags with our crocheted flowers by giving me a thumbs up for this tutorial. Let's begin. I got this little 6-petal flower. So find the front of it. And I'm going to use a green yarn because I'm going to be making a leaf, but it isn't actually necessary. Actually, it's just a suggestion of a leaf on this flower. And into a back loop, insert the hook, attach the yarn. I'm going to attach with a single crochet. I'm going to chain 3 and back into that single crochet into the 2 loops. I'm going to slip stitch, and that's just to suggest a little leaf. Now chain 3 and go into the back loop again of the end of the petal. Need a single crochet. How on earth did I get that hair in there? This is new yarn. I have dark hair in there and nobody here has dark hair. And single crochet, chain 3, and back into that single crochet and slip stitch. All right, chain 3, into the petal, the back loops, and single crochet. And now I'm going to chain 10. And this is to give me a loop to play with. Actually, I'm going to chain more than that. I'm going to chain 20. All right, and then back into that single crochet, slip stitch, chain 3, into the back loop of my petal, single crochet, chain 3, back into that single crochet and slip stitch, chain 3, attach to the petal again, single crochet, chain 3, back into the single crochet. This is very easy. 1, 2, and 3. Into the back loop again, single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch, chain 3, and back into the very first place where we attach the yarn, slip stitch to join, chain 1, pull up a loop, clip the yarn, and pull that tie off to the back. Now what I do here is I make a square knot and then I just clip the yarn, because this is a little embellishment for the package, just an easy embellishment. This is very simple. Any flower will work with this. I'm just using a small one for demonstration purposes. And this, of course, is the back of the flower. Trim those yarn ends. And this is a very simple way. And I have on my handle, I'm going to loop my flower through there. And just pull it down, and you have a little decoration on your package. And this is a simple way to make a gift bag lasso. Now let's look at another way. Now this particular package lasso is a very quick one, and again, I really like this one, but whenever I'm needing something quick, this is pretty much my go-to. So choose any flower. This can work on any flower. It needs to be somewhat a substantial size, and you need to have some loops on the back to attach to. So I'm going to attach my yarn today, beginning with a slip knot on my hook. And attach the yarn. With this one, the structure that suggests a leaf is a curlicue. I call it a curlicue. Some people call them a spiral, but to me they're a curlicue. A curlicue, and it can be as long as you want. I'm going to start with a chain of 12. And into the second chain from the hook, slip stitch. And into the next chain, 2 single crochet. Into the next chain, 3 half double crochet. Now there are several ways to make these curlicues. I'm making this one where it gradually starts to curl. And in the next stitch, 3 half double crochets. Now I'm also not making it very thick. You could do double crochets, trebles, and on until you know, to make it as thick as you want. For the little flower though, I don't want it to be too thick. And so in the next stitch, 3 half double crochets again. I'm going to do this all the way back to my join, or where I attached my yarn. 3 half double crochet. The more stitches you put in these chains, the more it's going to curlicue. This one will be kind of gentle. If you want it to curl less, of course, you could go with 3 stitches. With 2 stitches. And I have one more chain. Usually the last one, I'm gonna go down a stitch size to single crochet here so it comes in close to the flower where it ends. And now I'm going to find another loop to go into, and I'm going to go into the flower center, a back loop and a slip stitch, or single crochet. I'm going to slip stitch, I believe. Now chain 7. Let me see that. Okay, and that's for a loop. I'm going to go back into that same back loop where I started this loop. Let me pull out some yarn. And now this next length of yarn will be for the part of the lasso that will wrap around the handle. But I have found that it's better to chain a couple and move over to the other side of the flower so that it lays correctly on the bag. So I'm going to chain, I chained 3 already, I'm going to chain 1 more, and I'm going to find a loop on the other side of the flower. This one right here will acts like he's wanting to do the job for me. There we go. Now for our stem, or the chains that will go around the handle of the bag. We don't need too many on this one though. So I'm going to go 10. All right, now chain. This is going to be for the curly Q. So we have our amount of chains here where it's going to loop around the bag. And then we're going to make another curly Q that's going to go into the loop in order to secure it to our bag. So I'm going to add a stitch marker right here to tell us where to stop with a curly Q. It's not critical that we stop there, but nonetheless, it gives us an idea. And now for this curly Q, I'm going to chain 7. I want this second curly Q to be shorter than the first one. The first curly Q started with a chain of 12. This curly Q will have a chain of 7. And into the second chain from the hook, slip stitch, 3 single crochet into the next chain, and 3 half double crochets all the way back to the stitch marker in each chain. I'm going to remove my stitch marker here and put in my last stitches for my spiral curly Q. The first stitch a half double and then 2 singles. And now in the remaining chains for the tie off, I'm going to slip stitch all the way back to the flower. It just makes it look finished, and it also gives us a place to tie off the yarn that doesn't show. I'm going to go right back into where I slip stitched to begin, and then chain one, pull up a loop, and tie off the yarn. The beginning and the end of my yarn ends are so far apart I am not going to tie these off, but I'm going to take my yarn needle and weave in the ends. And here's the way the finished gift bag lasso looks on the front. And on the back you have your loop that goes around the handle with a curly Q on the end. And then here's the loop that this curly Q will go through. And then here's another curly Q just for an embellishment to make it balanced. Now let's see the way it looks on a package. And we attach the little lasso around the handle and just pull that through the loop. Any flower can be done this way. It could also, you could, instead of the curly cues, you could also do leaves. But I like the curly cues. I think they add a lot of character to the gift bag. And there you have it, the Daisy Curly Q gift bag lasso. Now let's look at another lasso. Let's take our large flower and begin with a slip knot on our hook. And this is a 6-petal flower, so I'm going to adjust my flower where I have a petal down and up. Now, you could do it this way. To me, it's easier to do it like this. And so at one of the petals, insert the hook into the back loop. And the first thing we're going to form is a leaf. Okay. And so a slip stitch to attach the yarn. Chain 9. Now, even though I've chained 9, I'm only going to use 7 of the chains for the leaf. So to begin, in the second chain, 1 loop of the chain, second chain from the hook, slip stitch. In the next chain, single crochet. In the next stitch, half double crochet. In the next stitch, double crochet. Half double crochet in the next chain. And single crochet. And single crochet one more time in that chain, and then go to the other side of the leaf in the same chain but the other loop, and 2 single crochet in the bottom stitch, and that's to make your turn. Half double crochet into the next chain, just 1 loop, double crochet in the next chain, half double crochet and single crochet. Insert the hook into that turning chain for the beginning of the petal, slip stitch, chain 2. This is to form a picot for the point of the leaf, and then into one loop of that slip stitch, the last slip stitch again. All right, and that forms the corner. Now we're going to form the stem down the middle of the leaf. So insert the hook into the next chain, and slip stitch, and into the next chain, slip stitch. We're going down the middle of the chain. It also camouflages the holes that we formed with the stitches, but I like a stem.
Are you still watching? If you haven't done so already, why don't you subscribe and activate that notification bell so you won't miss any of my tutorials.
All right, now I'm to the end of my leaf. I'm going to go into one of the nearest single crochet and one more slip stitch into that leaf through that bottom single crochet, and that secures the base of the leaf. Now we're coming into the stem. Adjust your stem and your flower. Make sure that the those two chains are not twisted. So into that next chain, slip stitch, and into the second one, slip stitch. All right. Now that I'm at the base and of the flower, and I've completed a leaf, I'm going to single crochet or slip stitch, whichever you prefer, in the next stitch of the petal, just to secure that leaf. In fact, I'm going to slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 9 or 10. I'm going to see what gets me over to my next leaf. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see how much that is. That'll be a nice amount. 9, a chain up of 9. And into 2 back loops of my petal, then single crochet. Chain 9. And again, into the back loop of the petal of my flower. And repeat that one more time to get to the top of the flower. Okay, at the top of this 6-petal daisy, let's look at the work first before we do the next part. Okay, for this lasso, we need to have a part that will loop, and we can do this the same way that we did the first one. Just make a big loop and then come back around. That's the easy way to do it. But I want to make a stem and put another leaf and use that stem to loop around the handle of the package and then pull that leaf through one of these other chain spaces. That's just a cute little look. So let's go ahead and chain 9 again, or 10 or 12, how many ever you want. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to go 10. And in that 9th chain now, I'm going to put a stitch marker, because that's telling me that that is the loop for the lasso. And now I'm going to form another leaf. So chain 7, and then in the second chain from the hook, slip stitch, single crochet into the next chain, half double crochet in the next chain, double crochet in the next chain, half double, in the next chain 2 single crochet, and turn the work, and in that same chain but on the other side in the 1 loop, single crochet 2 single crochet in that first chain, and that's to bring the yarn and the hook around for the next stitch, half double crochet in the next chain, same as we did on the previous leaf, and 1 double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and slip stitch into the next stitch. We seem to have an extra stitch here. Now I want to put a point on the end of my leaf, so chain 2, and then slip stitch back into that last slip stitch, just 1 loop, and now we're going to form the stem on the leaf. So into the holes in the middle of the leaf, insert the hook and pull up a loop, and pull through that single loop, and that is your slip stitch. As I'm coming down to the bottom of where my chain stitch marker was, I want to remove that because I don't need it anymore. Slip stitch again in the stem, and now we're down to the single crochets, just like we did before. Into 1 of the single crochets, go into 2 loops and slip stitch again to secure that leaf to the stem. Now adjust that stem at this point to make sure that it's straight, because that gets twisted up while you're making the leaf. And into the next chain, slip stitch, and slip stitch all the way down to the flower. Be mindful of your tension, don't get it too tight. It's not a big deal, but it just gets kind of hard, stiff and rigid. And we want this to move and loop, be free. All right, and now into that single crochet, or no, I think I'll go into the, actually I have 1 more loop here that I can slip stitch into, and now I'm going to go into the stitch right next to that single crochet where we started the stem and the leaf, and I'm going to slip stitch in that one to secure the stem. Now chain 9, and into the back loop of the petal, sort of in the middle there. I just eyeball it. Single crochet, chain 9 again, back loops, single crochet, chain 9, and into the first stitch where you started and attach the yarn, slip stitch to join. I think I'm going to go into that first single crochet also, just to secure this really well. Slip stitch again, chain one, pull up a loop, and clip the yarn. And pull that tie off knot back to the back. And then to deal with my ends on this project, I just tie it. This is just a little, if you want to go to the trouble to weave in your ends, that's fine too. But these knots, in my opinion, they don't really show. The thing about adding these types of things to your gift bags is, I mean, it's another gift actually, and it's something that the recipient of your gift bag, they can reuse it on another project. And so this is the way this lasso looks. And now let's look at how we will attach it to our gift bag. So with my prepared gift bag, I will take my end where I have my longer stem and take it around the handle, and from the top or the bottom I just insert the leaf. And you might on this one put it through 2 of the chain spaces, and it's an embellishment on your gift bag.
And there you have it, the Retro Daisy gift bag lasso. And now let's look at another lasso.
And now for my all-time favorite type of lasso. These are some that I made before because I keep these on hand for gift bags, and this is the simplest kind. Perhaps it's the simplest kind. And after I have my leaves attached to my flowers, and some of them we made with leaves in the 30 Days of Flowers, and then I make this little rope with a loop on the end. I've got another one here with my flowers and my loop on the end. Well, let me show you how to make this first, and then we'll look at how we use this on a package. With a slip knot on the hook, and then attach the yarn to the back of the flower, and I'm coming opposite of the leaves so that it gets some balance whenever it is around the handle of my package. And I'm going to attach with a single crochet. And now that my yarn is attached, I'm going to chain 15.
These 15 chains will serve as the stem, which is the lasso that goes around the handle of the bag.
Okay. I'm going to insert a stitch marker there just to let me know that that's my beginning chain, because now I'm going to make my loop. And I'm going to chain 7. And now I'm going to go back to the stitch marker and slip stitch. And there I have my loop. I don't need my stitch marker, I'll leave it in until I get done. And now slip stitch all the way back down to the flower. Now I'm back to the flower. Rather than attach my my slip stitches in this same stitch, I'm going to find 2 loops really close by, and that's where I'm going to slip stitch to end this attachment. Then I'm going to chain 1 and pull up a loop and clip my yarn. And to finish off this project, I don't do anything fancy again. I just tie it in a double knot. And clip the yarn. And now let's see how we attach this to a package. And these are the easiest to attach, and I think these are really my favorite. And you wrap the stem piece around, and with the loop, put one of the leaves through the loop, and it holds it securely onto your package. Isn't that pretty? Like I said, that's my favorite. And these function in exactly the same way. Any flower could be done this way. Even one of the small ones could work this way.
And now let's look at the Michaelmas daisy, which is already ready to tie on to a gift bag.
Now you may remember, if you made it along with me, the Michaelmas daisy. This one, you could do something that probably wouldn't be reusable. First of all, you could just take either hot glue or fabric glue and just glue this to the front of your bag. But that prevents it from being reusable. But since we did put a stem and leaves on this, play with it a little bit. I had to play with it to see if it would work. But I then tied the leaf and the stem, put one of them through there, and just made it kind of work. And that's all there is to it, because you already have leaf and you have some stem, but really and truly it actually begins to look like a leaf when it's tied on like this. And so that one is already ready to go.
Having found value in this tutorial about how to embellish your gift bags, why don't you subscribe and activate that notification bell so you'll know when I put up a new tutorial. And until I see you again, keep calm and crochet on.